I gave my sister a place to stay, but she slept with my fiancé and wore my wedding dress. They say betrayal from a stranger hurts, but when it comes from your own blood, it feels like your soul's been split open with a smile. I always believed family meant forgiveness, that no matter what happened, no matter how far someone fell, you reached out and pulled them back. Because that's what family does. At least that's what I was raised to believe. So when my younger sister April showed up at my door just after midnight, soaked from the rain, her eyes swollen and red, her voice barely a whisper, I didn't hesitate. She looked like a shell of herself. Makeup smudged, hair clinging to her face, knuckles bruised like she'd been punching walls just to feel something. She collapsed into my arms without a word, trembling. And when she finally spoke, her voice cracked like glass under pressure. "He lied to me," she said. "He built a life with me while building another one behind my back." She had caught her boyfriend of 3 years, the one she thought she would marry, living a double life. Not only was he cheating, he had gotten another woman pregnant. April found out by accident. A message popped up on his tablet while he was in the shower. A photo. A baby bump. A caption that read, "Our little miracle, 20 weeks strong." April said she waited for him to come out of the bathroom, heart pounding so loud she could barely hear herself breathe. She confronted him, expecting at least guilt, some kind of explanation. But he didn't even flinch. He just looked at her coldly and said, "I didn't think you'd find out this soon." No apology. No remorse. Just indifference, like 3 years meant nothing. She packed a bag, left the apartment they shared, and wandered around the city in a daze for hours. She told me she walked until her legs gave out. Her phone was dying, her hands were numb, and she had nowhere else to go. "I feel like I've been erased," she whispered. "Like I was just a placeholder until someone better came along." I held her tighter and told her, "You're not erased. You're home now." So I let her in, no questions, no judgment. Just love. I gave her the guest room, made her tea every night, and tried to be the calm in her storm. Because she was my sister. And I wanted to believe that kindness, especially within family, always found its way back. At the time I was planning my wedding, the happiest season of my life. My dream dress had just arrived, the invitations were being sealed, and every detail was falling perfectly into place. Daniel, my fiancé, was everything I had prayed for. Kind, steady, reliable. He brought me breakfast in bed, helped me pick flower arrangements, and made me laugh even when I was too stressed to smile. At least, that's what I thought. The signs didn't come crashing down all at once. They crept in slowly like smoke through a crack in the door. I noticed them in whispers, in glances that lingered too long, in silences that suddenly felt too loud. April started laughing at Daniel's jokes in a way she never used to. Not just casual laughter, but that breathy, drawn-out kind that made the air in the room feel heavy. She'd wear tighter clothes when he was home, outfits she never bothered with before. At first, I told myself it was her trying to rebuild confidence after her heartbreak. She was healing, right? She needed to feel beautiful again. But then Daniel changed too. He started locking his phone. A phone I used to scroll through to play music or order food. When I asked about it, he smiled and said, "Just work stuff." His smile didn't reach his eyes. There were hushed conversations between them when they thought I wasn't listening. Shared glances across the room that ended the moment I looked up. It felt like the ground beneath me was shifting, but I convinced myself I was just tired. Wedding stress. Imagination. I kept brushing it off. Until 2 weeks before the wedding, when my dress disappeared. The dress I spent months choosing. The one that made me cry happy tears the first time I saw myself in it. Gone. I tore through every closet, every storage box, the laundry room, even the back of my car. Panic tightened around my chest like a vice. I was shaking, breathless. April walked in and gasped. "Your dress? Oh my God. What do you mean it's gone?" She helped me search. Acted shocked. Even offered to post in a local group in case it was stolen. But something about the way she avoided eye contact made my stomach churn. Like she was holding her breath too carefully. The very next morning, Daniel sat me down, eyes serious, voice soft, and said he needed space. Just to clear my head before the big day, he claimed. Everything's moving so fast. It was like someone had pulled the floor out from under me. I nodded. Told him I understood. Because I loved him. Because I trusted my sister. Because I had no idea that the people closest to me had already started rehearsing their own version of forever, without me in it. But then one night, just days before the wedding, my phone rang. It was late. I almost didn't answer. But something in my chest told me to pick up. It was a friend from college, someone I hadn't spoken to in months. She worked at a quiet little resort outside the city, the kind of place couples go to escape the world. Her voice was hesitant, laced with confusion. "Hey, I didn't know you moved your wedding. I thought it was next week. Just saw your sister and your fiancé here. Thought you'd be around. 'Cause she's in a white dress." The world around me stopped. For a second I forgot how to breathe. Everything inside me went cold. Not numb, not shocked, just frozen, like time had folded in on itself and nothing made sense anymore. I don't remember grabbing my keys. I don't remember locking the door. I just remember driving, for 2 endless hours. In complete silence, my hands white-knuckled around the steering wheel, my heart beat loud enough to drown out the road. My mind raced through every moment I had doubted myself. Every laugh, every touch, every whisper between them that I brushed aside. The puzzle pieces I refused to see were now falling into place. Sharp, cruel, undeniable. When I arrived at the resort, I didn't walk in like a woman. I walked in like a ghost. And there they were. On the balcony. Bathed in soft lights. Wearing my wedding dress. Holding Daniel's hand. Kissing him like I never existed. I stood there frozen. It wasn't the kiss that broke me. It was the way he looked at her. The way he looked at me once. And in that moment I realized I had given my heart to a man who had never planned to hold it. And I had handed my home to a sister who had always wanted to wear my life. They didn't even flinch when they saw me. No gasps. No guilt. No scramble to explain. April just turned her head slowly as if she'd been expecting me. Like this moment, this exact moment of destruction, was part of her plan all along. She looked me dead in the eye, wearing my dress, standing in my place, holding my life, and smirked. A slow, venomous smirk. "You always had everything," she said, her voice sickeningly calm. "Mom and Dad adored you. You had the grades, the attention, the perfect relationship, the perfect wedding. I was always second. Always in your shadow. I just wanted something that was yours. Just once." My throat tightened. My hands curled into fists at my sides. I turned to Daniel, desperate. Not for love, not even for apology, but for something human. Some kind of shame. Some flicker of remorse in his eyes. But he just stood there, staring, silent, cowardly. Like a man watching his sins unfold and still choosing to stay silent. I waited 1 second too. Nothing, the silence between us said everything. And that's when I realized, this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't confusion or impulse or weakness. This was calculated. I could have screamed, thrown something, made a scene so loud the whole resort would never forget my name. I stood taller. I looked them both in the eyes. The sister who envied me and the man who pretended to love me, and I walked away. Not because I was weak. Not because I was broken. But because I refused to fight for people who stabbed me while I was feeding them, who smiled in my face while poisoning my life behind my back. I walked away because I still had my dignity. And they had each other. Rotten fruit always falls together. I canceled the wedding the very next morning. No long explanations. No teary calls. Just a single email to the planner. "It's over. Cancel everything." Then I took the dress, the one April stained with betrayal, and sold it. Every flower arrangement, every table setting, every deposit made in good faith. I let it all go. And with the money, I didn't drown in sorrow. I booked a one-way ticket, no destination in mind, just away. Away from the house I made a home for 2 snakes. Away from the memories I was never meant to keep. I traveled until the weight on my chest began to lift. I sat on mountaintops and let the wind carry away my anger. I walked barefoot on beaches and let the waves teach me how to breathe again. I wrote letters I never sent. I cried in hotel bathtubs until the ache began to loosen its grip. I laughed with strangers who didn't know my story, and slowly I stopped letting it define me. Then one afternoon in a quiet bookstore in Italy, I came across a quote scribbled in the margin of an old poetry book. "The knife they used to cut you down will be the same one that carves their regret." And it stayed with me, because it was true. April and Daniel didn't last. Of course they didn't. When love is born out of betrayal, it's only a matter of time before it devours itself. Trust doesn't grow in poisoned soil. I heard from someone, quietly, discreetly, that Daniel caught her texting someone else. That he accused her of lying. That she screamed, "Now you know how it feels." He's living in the ruins of a life he thought he stole. A man who built his future on a foundation of deceit, only to watch it crack beneath his feet. As for me, I didn't just survive. I transformed. They broke the woman who once begged to be chosen, but they awakened the one who chooses herself every single time. And that version of me, she's not bitter. She's just done bleeding for people who were never worth the wound. They thought they buried me in betrayal, but really they planted me in purpose. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories.